Crack that whip, Leonard.
What? What?
Crack that whip.
I thought you said that sounded like crap.
I did.
Well,
Look at your hat.
That's just how we do it. So, hey, guys, how do you like my new guitar?
Ooh, very cool. I like your hat too.
Thanks. I know. Fender guitar hat and Kiesel guitar. See that? This is a custom guitar I picked up yesterday. It took 6 months to get it.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, it's made in the USA. It's just when you make killer guitars and great stuff, you know, you get back ordered, and these guys, they don't have. I mean, it doesn't seem like they have an ambition to go beyond just building custom, awesome guitars. But you know, this guitar company was one that built a lot of Alan Holdsworth's guitars. I mean, he has a signature line, but you can tell he heavily influenced the way that they build guitars and design them and set them up. Because,
do you think anyone in our audience knows who Alan Holdsworth is?
No, they probably don't. If you don't know who he is, check him out. His music is totally weird, but they basically, most people just consider him a space alien. He came up with this approach to playing guitar and an approach to music that was just way ahead of his time. And his technique is incredible. I mean, you hear people shredding these days, they still marvel at this guy's virtuosity. I mean, he was doing crazy stuff back in the 60s.
Really?
Oh, yeah, before Eddie Van Halen, before you know, all these great guitar players that you know about. He was this hidden gem, and guess who discovered him and basically put him on the map? It was Eddie Van Halen.
Eddie Van Halen discovered.
Oh. Yeah, and at the time, everybody was saying, "Oh, Eddie, you're the greatest guitar ever. Oh, you know, you're just a god, right?" And he would stop people and say, "No, there's this one dude. His name is Alan Holdsworth." And
was he in a band?
Who? He's been in several bands. You should check him out. But he always played with only guitars with only the what's called the bridge pickup. So this has a higher frequency feel to it, just because it's closer to the bridge, right? And then here you tend to get more of a mid-range tone. Yeah. But he didn't believe in this. He said, just play this. And you know what? I had a chance to basically drink beers with this guy for like 5 hours at a blues club. Yeah. And he let me play his guitar. He let me play his amp. And I had like this amazing conversation with the guy.
That's sweet,
and
man.
I think he influenced Eddie to use just that one pickup, but tune the whole guitar.
Can you play Eruption on that guitar?
I could, but I just don't know how to play Eruption after all these years.
Well, that's your homework.
That's your homework. You got to build Eruption.
Yeah.
So we got Bill in there on video.
Yeah.
Trying to join.
Hey, Darren, what's up?
Darren,
hey, I'm here. I'm actually earning money right now, so I'll join in a second.
Okay, no problem. Take your time. Yeah. So anyway, that's the long story.
I wanted to say the delay in getting your guitar is due to supply chain issues, right?
No.
Might even be IoT supply chain issues.
No. You know what? I think there's, people that do custom stuff that make things by hand. They work on a different timeline, and we have Taylor guitars here as well. One of the legendary brands. They make amazing guitars, but what? To get a custom guitar takes time, which I think is a great counterpoint to the way that everyone in the mass production world thinks. It's just, this is a very expensive guitar. Yeah. And they make probably really huge margins. And as an organization, as a culture, they just want to make the best stuff. And I think there's a huge lesson to be learned from that as a counterpoint to what we do in, other realms, other industries, and other segments.
So is this like being an artist, a craftsman versus mass producing stuff?
Oh yeah. Because the thing is with Fender Strats and Fenders and other mass produced guitars, it's really hard to find a really great guitar, right?
Yeah.
This thing plays like Alan's prototype that I played, and this guy is incredible, in terms of his insight and his understanding of how to build guitars. I mean, when you bend a note on this thing, it's smooth. If you bend a note on like my Strat, you have to struggle. I mean, and there's a thing that guitar players, talk about, which is working the guitar. They like a guitar that fights back. Well, okay, but Alan wasn't like that. He liked guitars that were easy to play, that were engineered, tuned perfectly. And so, it's a different mindset, But
so,
I think we have a lot of it.
So our good friend Mark Poos said that Tony Shakib from Microsoft was pimping the industrial metaverse from Microsoft.
Yeah, I saw that.
With their Microsoft, with their Azure digital twins. Is everybody at that LoRa event in Paris right now?
No.
No? Well, Venky is. And is Mark there? I mean, he sent us a picture. Maybe.
Must be.
I don't know. I feel like, I guess if you're in Europe, maybe you're there. I don't know. We saw David and Mark with a picture together, which was cool. I don't know where they were, also, or if they were somewhere else in Spain. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's always see all that stuff. The LoRa Alliance. Is that like the Rebel Alliance or something?
I think so.
Maybe.
So.
Laura?
Laura
who?
Yeah, I think
that's the name of the new Star Wars character. It's that I think it's who's that Twi'lek one? Mind.
So Laura is having their big event this week, I guess, in Paris. And so for those of you who don't know, Laura is that's kind of from Simtech with their chipsets, and then a bunch of people built the Laura WAN, deal, and they're all together. And you've got lots of friends from the Things Network with the OG Laura WAN people, and then you have a lot of Johnny Come Lately Laura WAN people.
Yeah.
Obviously Senate. Who else? Yeah. And then, of course, there was some news earlier this week about Sigfox. What is it called? Unibiz? Whatever. I saw the post on LinkedIn yesterday, day before yesterday, about the company that now owns Sigfox.
Yeah, I read.
And they're basically saying the Sigfox name will just be used to describe the technology. It's like it's kind of like saying the Thread type of technology, or the LoRa, or the whatever, or Bluetooth. That's kind of how they were phrasing it. And that Unibiz, or I'm probably saying it wrong, the name of the company that bought. Remember, there was the auction, the bankruptcy, and all that.
Yeah.
And so the company that has that, they're going to take it to market, and then they'll just use Sigfox to refer to the technology itself, kind of like we say Bluetooth or whatever. And of course, I saw people pounce on that and said, no, Sigfox does not have anything in common with some of these other things that are actual real standard technologies. But that's okay. So we'll see how it goes for them.
But you're right. It's called Unibiz. But it's not like it's maybe it's Unabiz. Unabiz.
Yeah, because the guy who's on there, they're in Paris, and and of course they're proud that it's Sigfox is French technology, French company, and everything. But if I was going to do stuff with kind of telecommunications, I would come up with a cooler telecom sounding name than Unabiz. I don't know that. What do you think?
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Hey, look, if you pronounce it with the French accent, I'm sure that it sounds really awesome.
Yeah. It doesn't tell me anything.
I mean,
the name doesn't tell me anything.
They could be selling me subscriptions for newspapers, for all I know. I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah, it
or
sounds.
magazines.
Totally.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
a cable news station. Unavid.
Yes, Unavids on cable. See,
Yeah.
make sure that your cable provider is giving you Unavids so you can find out what's going on in the world in France.
So, hey, dude, why? Okay, so why is Microsoft showing up at a LoRa event talking about industrial metaverse? I mean,
I don't know.
What is it? What are they depicting that it is?
Like digital twins kind of powering the metaverse, and Microsoft and Azure IoT, they've been pushing hard for a while with their partners to be a serious industrial IoT player. But listen, folks, we call this marketing. And that's what Microsoft's doing here is lots of people have decided to jump on the metaverse bandwagon and the hype machine.
Yeah.
And so Microsoft is basically saying, well, we're going to jump on it. We got industrial IoT. We've got digital twins, which are kind of the underpinning of part of the metaverse. And so we're going to just start pitching. And because Tony posted something on LinkedIn maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, he wrote this whole long thing about how Microsoft is the industrial metaverse. And you're just like, wow, I wonder how long it took the marketers to come up with all that content for that. So
can we roll back just a second and can someone help me understand what in the entire hell is the industrial metaverse?
It might be something that no one wants. I don't know.
You know what, dude? So here's my take. I think it's just a pivot. It's just, so the whole digital thing, twin thing, it may have not been as big of a deal as people thought, and so this is just the latest pivot. It's like, okay, here's a buzzword. It looks like there's some stuff we can attach to this. Let's go ahead and coin industrial metaverse. But I don't think there's anything really new there, and I don't think it solves any old problems that have gotten in the way of digital twin or the misuse or misconception of digital twin. Are we going to see people in smart factories with VR glasses? Yeah. I mean, I saw something like intelligent edge and intelligent cloud. I was like, what the hell are those?
You're not.
What? Talk to us, Darren.
All right. Well, also, hello to Darren Flatt. Thanks for joining.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good to have you.
Put together a million years ago.
Oh.
And also, we're actually kind of bringing a lot of Texas firepower here today. It seems like everybody but Leonard is coming in from Texas.
Yeah, so, I'm glad you took that opportunity to alienate me and make me feel really small.
Well,
you guys do everything big in Texas, right?
But it's not just that. I mean, you've got to have a gangster mentality to deal with Texas. I mean, when you come straight out of Dripping.
Dripping Springs for the win.
Dripping Springs, that's right.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's gangster.
I'm just saying, man. Baby. Out here in Dripping, we are doing nothing but collar popping and knowledge dropping. That's what's going on.
Oh. Damn.
I love it. So, Darren, what do you think about all this BS from Microsoft and industrial metaverse? I mean,
as maybe if you get to the largest industrial companies with cash to burn to experiment with it, maybe it would happen.
Yeah.
But as someone that counts a large number of industrial customers as my own, right? I can tell you that that's not even ever going to be on the radar in the next 10 years, even 20 years. It's not going to happen. A lot of these industrial companies, there's a lack of knowledge on how they're formed. They're not these companies that are just kind of out there running on their own. They're all being rolled up by PEs all the time, and there's mom and pops, and they're way behind on technology. And quite frankly, they're just trying to get their data straight, to do sales and to account correctly and to make sure that they don't let anything fall through the cracks. That's where they are now.
Yeah. Wow.
They are not in any way, shape, or form ready to take on something as esoteric as a metaverse.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like, hey, should we integrate the ERP system with the CRM system.
Yeah.
You know, how does it match up, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I think where it is, and Rob and I have talked about this before, is what they are interested in is perhaps monitoring stuff. You know, we're getting back to the discussion that we had many years ago on all this. I sell something, and can I monitor it and service it for my customers and know ahead of time when it's going to fail? And that's a small part of them because, like I said, a lot of them aren't even there yet. So
Darren, what type of companies are you? Size and.
Right. I mean, it can range anywhere up from over $1 billion down to, your typical industrial company.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, and they're not large. They're going to be anywhere from $50 million to $250 million in revenue. And they're not, and because they're PE backed, the PE firms aren't going to say, oh, well, yeah, you're going to spend $5 million on a Metaverse project. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It'll never get past the board.
Right. But what kind of Metaverse projects are we talking about in this industrial context? Are we talking about, training technicians using, VR, AR, or?
Well, obviously that would be practical, Andreea. And obviously we did that at Ericsson with the smart factory up in Louisville.
Yeah. That's the thing that we think of. Yeah.
And that was a great real world example. Because I don't know if we ever, I can't remember if we've ever told our audience about the particulars of that deal. That was pretty interesting because they had to bring that factory online during COVID.
Yeah.
And we connect with there was a similar factory in Tallinn. Is that right? In Estonia?
Tallinn, yes.
Yeah. And so since you couldn't have a lot of, you're building a smart factory, which is great. Yeah. So like Darren's talking about the real world, most people are living in what they have today and old stuff and everything like that. But at Ericsson, we did have the opportunity to build a brand new smart Industry 4.0 factory from scratch up in Louisville in the Dallas area. So you can get to do everything like you ever wanted to do with Industry 4.0, which most people don't have that luxury. But the cool thing, to Andrea's point with the AR and VR stuff, is since it was during COVID, the people who would have been hands-on helping to get things up and running and train everybody, we couldn't be there in person. And so using 5G and AR and VR glasses, we had our colleagues in Tallinn in Estonia and a similar kind of sister smart factory communicating and showing the folks what to do here in the US. It was a pretty cool example of that.
Yeah.
And that sounds really practical, and it made a lot of sense. It was about the only way to get up and running when we couldn't have people,
Yeah, I do know of one situation on a larger multi-billion-dollar industrial company. They were trying to do a little bit with, I believe it was Unity. I can't remember what it was, but they could never get the physics right when you're moving something and how it swings.
Mm-hmm.
It was difficult to mimic that. So that's kind of the one instance I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Where that type of thing that you were speaking about, Andreea, that I know about. At least here on the Gulf Coast, which, there's tons of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on with all that stuff. When you think about Unity, remember, obviously, Microsoft's HoloLens was such a big deal, and now their head of the HoloLens is out of the company. And
you're going to wear it. You're going to wear it while you repair stuff, and it was going to guide you. So, that was the whole point.
Yeah. And that makes sense. We've talked about that for years with IoT. When you think about, connect, collect, analyze, act, that outcome, the outcome could be, I need to do a guided repair. We always talked about how lots of people who know how to work in certain heavy industries, maybe they're all about to retire, and we didn't have enough young people trained to do that because we told them all that they were going to go to college so they could work in an office. And so no one knows how to build anything anymore. Yeah. And so the idea was, apprentices, journeymen, whatever, you could put on the goggles. And so part of your IoT system could say, yes, we determined this thing's going to fail. And it was going to be, what was the game? Zork, or what are the other DOS games where it's like, pick up the key, go to the right, whatever. It was going to be like that in goggles. And it's like, pick up your toolkit, bring these tools, walk forward 5 steps, go to this machine, do this. Where it was really going to hold a person's hand using goggles, maybe AR, so they could see the real thing, and then heads-up display, and then telling them what to do on the fly. And I know some people have investigated that. I know Boeing was working on that a lot several years ago. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? I think we're just falling into the marketing trap. I mean, let's face it. There is no metaverse the way that certain communities are trying to push it, and you know, there really isn't an industrial metaverse. These are AR applications. These are VR applications, and there could be all kinds of different degrees of maturity in the back end for production of the content and the modeling, which is all extremely expensive and difficult. And that's even more problematic than getting good quality experience through these new sort of interfaces, right? So there's a counter argument for everybody who sits there and tries to say, hey, you know, metaverse is everything. It's like, look, talk about meaningful stuff, not, you know, this fanciful BS.
When I saw Tony post that this morning, I realized I have to fight fire with fire. And so that's when I put out there my post. Look at this cool. Actually, Darren created this logo. It's all washed out. It's probably hard to see.
So that's on LinkedIn?
I put it on LinkedIn. So I just said, I've got the industrial metaverse up and running in my portable lab, which is actually the lab that I'm on right now with my Net Perceptor industrial digital twin platform reaching MVP stage, digital twin models, prototype instances, dynamic static properties, all the stuff that Bill's been waiting for me to hurry up and build, fed by industrial IoT. Houston, we're ready for launch. We're in Houston. Texas is bringing the love today. I can't stand for this. I can't stand for people just going off the deep end with marketing and they just go blah, 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 and they don't know what they're saying. You know, I know certain people who are doing that at certain companies. They interviewed with us at Hitachi. They didn't actually know how to do anything, so they didn't get a job with us. So they went to other places, and now they're going blah, 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 blah. It's all BS.
I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps because calling, you know, AR and a metaverse doesn't help all the issues where the state of the technology is. And where the state of adoption is, not just from headsets, but the entire value chain or production chain of AR experiences. It doesn't solve any of those problems. And certainly Bitcoin and crypto and none of this other crap is going to help either. And if you ask anybody, well, how will these things help? You just hear the most ridiculous rationale and stories. It all just falls apart within the first level of conversation, which is the highest level of conversation. And that's why I think this kind of hype-driven BS marketing is detrimental. And I think we need to talk about that more. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like
there's a lot of money wasted.
We're hearing marketing from a first-level magic user in Dungeons and Dragons is what I feel like we're hearing. That's the metaverse they're living in. Yeah, but you're right. We've been hearing a lot of people say, well, digital twins will underpin the metaverse. If it's a lot of times people will talk about people, avatars of people and twins interacting and blah, blah, blah. So who knows? It's crazy.
No one knows.
No one knows. Some people are just making stuff up.
No one knows. I mean, come on. Digital twins. I mean, we've said this time and time again. I've been very vocal about it. Digital twin is a tool. It is a tool. A tool. It is a piece. It is a part of the puzzle. It is. I mean, I get so frustrated with the way terms are thrown around, the marketing, the positioning, you know, digital transformation. Okay, well, I mean, if we get back to the definition of digital transformation, it's processes, it's people. I mean, there are multiple facets to digital transformation, right? And I'm like, you know, I tend to scroll by a number of posts because they're pontificating on things that, one, if you read into it, they don't really know what the hell they're talking about. But they don't state the problem.
Yeah.
Yes. They're just coming up with crazy stuff. And you're right. What's the problem that they're solving that led to making this?
Yeah.
People have gone crazy. They've got all this money sitting in their bank accounts at these tech companies, and they're like, we're just going to start talking about this, and we're going to get that hype machine going, and then we'll make customers believe they need to buy it. Yeah. We don't really know what problem it's solving, but you got to have it. Or what do all the analysts do? Sorry, Leonard. If you don't adopt this, you'll be left behind.
You'll be left behind. Yes.
Did I ever say that?
I mean, we live.
I never say that.
I mean, we live in a FOMO era,
yes.
right? And you can see it a lot. I see it. I mean, I was always I was always impressed with being on Sand Hill and talking to all of these people that had like boatloads of money. And yet I'm coming in to help them understand whether or not a technology has legs. And I'm sitting here going, well, hey, wait a minute. I want a different relationship with money just like you guys have. So private equity firms I've been talking to have bought up startups and companies that were somewhat failing with the notion that we're going to put them all under this umbrella and we're going to build something that everyone has been talking about. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's just crazy talk.
Yeah.
There's two different.
They don't even go together.
But there are different kinds of people, right? The problem solvers and then the opportunity creators. So it depends how people look at. So, when I read posts or titles of articles about new technologies without the problem stated, I naturally start imagining opportunities. And it's exciting to think of the opportunity, how that technology can be used. But then, next day when I kind of calm down, I start wondering, I have no clue about the financials. I have no clue about, the depth of the problem we are solving. So, okay, well, I'll put it on the side because I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And that's what happens. These PE firms will pick up these companies. After a little bit of time, one falls off, another falls off. And they're just like, yeah, well, that didn't work. Well, wait a minute. Maybe if we add this piece, subtract this, I'm going, this is addition by subtraction.
And make sure you get a lot of extra lipstick for the pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot more of that happens when there's easy cap. There's like
financial engineering for these turkeys they put together, trying to turn into a golden goose.
A lot of that's going to end.
Yeah.
So Darren, tell us, man. You're our guest here. So, what are we getting wrong?
You got to have people willing to spend money on it. I mean, that's the main thing. So if you go out hunting for a problem to solve before you really understand it, there's that. Plus, hey, listen, I'm a ship channel kid. I grew up on the communities on the ship channel in Houston, right? And you see the companies and the people that work there and everything. And I just don't think that people in certain areas go to the areas where they want people to spend money. They don't understand what's there. They don't understand the realities of it. They don't understand how these companies are structured. Yeah. And that's where I think the biggest problem is. There's just this, it's more like an educational, like I'm getting a doctorate at a university and I'm going to think up these theories. And yeah, they may or may not work and they're really cool. But at the end of the day, will they be implemented? Will people accept it? And nobody's ever really went and asked the hard questions of the people that would use it, would purchase it.
Right.
And I think that's what is wrong.
A lot of those guys on the ship channel, you see, they're running DOS still.
Yeah, I mean,
and you think they're going to jump to the metaverse somehow.
Right. And believe me, I didn't mean to talk over you, but the thing is that they're making money. It's not like they're going broke. They're sitting there and they're generating cash every month. They got a cash, right? And these companies have been around a long time. And to get them to change the way they operate is very difficult because they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they just are.
Well, wow, we're waiting to be left behind because we don't have a metaverse here on the Houston ship channel. You know what makes us more money? We're going to dredge that ship channel even more so we can have larger super tankers. That's real. Metaverse, not real.
Right. And, I have an individual. I used to work for an industrial company, and he has a company in Louisiana now, PE backed. And you go visit their site, and what they do is they make water moving equipment a lot for nuclear plants because they have to lift water. They have fish guards, and they also make these gigantic, to what Rob was saying, these gigantic scoops that they dredge out like the Mississippi and ship channels and bays and stuff like that with. And they're just killing it. And if you walk in it, it is like a gigantic warehouse, dark, and there's just welding going on. And that's what it is. And it's kicking ass,
So Bill, is it a sad state of affairs if a mechanic walks in a door to solve a problem at a PE firm or a VC firm on Sand Hill Road? They're just going to be like, get out of here. But if someone comes in with some ridiculous whatever that without a problem to solve, then it's like, oh yeah, let's get that guy some money. How ridiculous is that? What happened with
it's
Mr.
crazy.
Wolf
It is absolutely crazy. I've sat there and heard, and then you start asking the questions, right? I mean, I don't need all of these things that we pick up from business school. I don't need a Canvas or all of these. I don't forget those things. Tell me what the problem is. Tell me how we're going to solve the problem, and then do we really have a market here? Because I just need to understand. So to Andrea's point, what's the size of the problem that we're actually going after? And I was talking to someone earlier this week, and they made mention. They said, well, you started your digital twin endeavor back in 2011, 2012, and I was like, yeah, and people weren't talking about it like that then. And they said, so do you think that we've made a lot of progress? I was like, in talk, yes. But in actuality, in deployment, in actually realizing the functional benefit of digital twins in the built environment, no, we're still in the infancy. Some odd 10 years later.
Yeah, talking is not building.
No.
I love that, dude. I love that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean,
I'm gonna have to put that on a shirt.
And Andreea, there's a third category of person is sort of I would say the dreamer, or the I don't know if you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, it's a dreamer or just somebody who just makes crap up. I mean, and Bill, what you're talking about is the elusive skill, the one that's really tough to acquire through any career, is that of someone who can solution and design, bridge that gap between what the technology is capable of and what the market will find valuable, and that last piece can be dissected in multiple ways, right? And one of them, one of the important factors is always readiness, right? And so, Darren, all the stuff, I can totally appreciate all the things that you've brought up already about how there's a lot of folks who just don't understand the environments they're trying to sell into or the markets they're trying to sell into, right? And that, I mean, as an analyst and just pretty much a career-long consultant, that is what I see consistently. And it's interesting to be able to take my consulting background and overlay that on top of stuff that industry analysts do, working with all these different companies, listening to all their different stories and how they're trying to go to market and pitching their stuff. That solutioning acumen, by the way, and autocorrect, solutioning is apparently not a word, but we're inventing it here, right? That is significantly lacking. Right. And there are a few people who are very good at it.
The warning signs were there when the IoT thing really started, right? Because we had a division that was automation and we were doing, PLC testing and all that. So it kind of had already existed. And then the bigger tech companies got a hold of it. Yeah. And the first thing out of the gate that was like off that was off kilter, where you knew that there was a disconnect, like you're talking about, Leonard, was where it was cloud IoT, and it was like, okay, you're going to shoot all your telemetry data over the internet into the cloud all at once. And, there's two problems. One, they may have way too much data being generated, right? So there's that. And the other one, there's a lot of people that data is never leaving. It's never leaving their facility. And you can't get them. You would never convince them.
Yeah.
And it was just, to your point, it was this lack of talking to them and finding out what they really wanted and needed.
Yeah, and there's
to solve problems.
Yeah, and there's this thing called Purdue. It's pretty basic stuff, and it's and we continue to see it with marketing groups, and this is a warning to marketing people. You start going overboard, and we're seeing it now. I have a lot of clients that just went way overboard with some of these marquee technologies, transformational technologies. Now they're trying to figure out, how do we backtrack without losing too much face? This happens, people, and it's not fun for these brands, because
think about all those big consulting firms that got sued by their customers for tens of millions of dollars because they made up a bunch of BS and they couldn't deliver. And we know all the consulting firms, all they know how to deliver is a stack of documents. They don't actually do anything.
But see, that's called towing the line, right? I get shots fired because I won't toe the line. And honestly, I don't care, because if I have a client and they say, hey, here's what we're going to do, and I'm like, who told you that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Literally when we're sitting there, and to your point, Leonard, we're sitting there, we're talking about layer 1 through 3 stuff, just your transport. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like, well, you know what? To be honest with you, POTS is still there.
POTS is still
is still there. I'm like, why would you not use it? Same thing can be said for DOCSIS modems that were put out in the field tens of years ago. Yeah. And they're just there now. If we need to move bits, I'm going to move bits by any means necessary.
Boom.
And available.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I have struggled trying to toe that line. And Andrea and I were, this whole 5G and private 5G, and let's bring 5G into factories and all that stuff. And this, we need to have you make sure your IoT devices are cellular based so that you can use private 5G. And I'm just like, if I was the customer, I want to make the solution work and at the lowest cost possible. Anytime I'm doing IoT indoors, I'm inclined to piggyback on whatever network is already indoors. Because guess what? That means it's free. And it's already there. And so I think that's where things like private 5G might struggle, or it might take longer to take on, is because so many people are like, how about Ethernet? How about every company has Wi-Fi access points going forever, everywhere, throughout their factories, throughout their corporate campus, every hallway, speaking of campus, every college campus.
Yeah.
It's entrenched. And so it's like, just like Bill said, I need to move the bits by any means necessary. What do you got already?
Yeah.
Will that work? Yeah. Okay, let's use that. Oh, I love that I'm indoors. It means I got power, electricity. Great. I don't have to use batteries. Great. I'm all in, There's so many practical stuff, and I hate being so practical and boring.
No.
But gosh.
But you know what, man? So when I went to those hug conferences and talked to Honeywell customers, dude, that's all they have an appetite for. They don't care about all the crap we talk about in the technology community. They honestly don't. They laugh at people who come in and talk digital transformation, AI, 5G, blah, blah, blah. They go, and then they will push back. They'll push back and say, so what is this AI stuff? And then you find out it's just a repackaging or rebranding of like BI. They talk about dashboards and stuff. It's like, no. That's not AI, guys. That's not AI. That's like business analytics old school. So why are you bringing this into the AI umbrella? They're talking about, they do that whole, what is it, declarative, prescriptive, and or predictive and prescriptive analytics and stuff like that. And it's like, well, okay, you guys are like still way back here. You're just you're just doing the old school BI stuff. And how's that AI? So, you've noticed no one talks about BI anymore. It's disappeared.
Yeah, that's where most of the value comes from.
Right? Yeah.
BI. There's some great BI tools out there.
Yeah, and
but to that point, I agree with that wholeheartedly, because I mean, if I'm listening to what Darren was saying about companies that are killing it, right? I mean, the things that they're doing, they're not the technology wise the sexiest. But damn, the stuff works and they make money. PLC devices offer you just as much data as a digital device that's sitting there. Why do I want to pull that thing out? Why do I want to change that? All I'm doing is driving up acquisition costs, and I'm not solving the problem.
Yeah.
That's like going to the manager at Popeye's Fried Chicken and saying, if you don't adopt this new AI technology, you're going to be left behind by some other Cajun chicken. It's like, just get out of here. Just get out of here. You're an idiot. You don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Making good Louisiana food here, and we're killing it. And I don't need AI because there's people lined up around the block to have fried chicken that's Cajun.
That's right. What's that? How many ingredients does AI have? That's
Exactly. I don't need AI to prevent people from lining up in the middle of the night on the weekends at Waffle House. They do it because they just want waffles.
Freaking In-N-Out Burger, dude. Oh my God.
Yes.
Have you been to In-N-Out Burger, man?
Yeah.
Have you been to In-N-Out Burger? You have.
We've all.
You got all been to. Talk about ridiculous. They don't use AI.
But Darren, give us a cautionary tale about In-N-Out Burger in Texas.
Oh yeah, that's it's a big deal actually. Really important.
Yeah, it is.
So it's a West Coast company, right? And they have their own supply chain. And I think that the ingredients anyway, have to be within so many miles. I don't know if it's 500 miles. So when they decided to expand to Texas, they had to get a new supply chain. And it really is a Tele2 restaurant. You wouldn't even know the food is the same. It's really different. So if I'm in Las Vegas or something and I go there, it's a completely different. It's just different. It's so much better on the West Coast.
These In-N-Out Burgers, they started building in Dallas and then slowly moving around Texas. It has nothing in common with LA.
I mean, all the look and the service and everything is the same.
Yeah.
It's just the ingredients are just different.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I've only had it here in Texas or in the Dallas area, and I don't like it.
It's not.
Oh no, you have to get it. You have to get it on the West Coast. But it's more than to me. It's a little bit more than that. It's almost a philosophical thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, literally, and me and my wife were talking about this. She keeps saying, you got to go try P. Terry's. And I'm like, why? And literally, you can find people on one side or the other. It's either P. Terry's or it's In-N-Out. Now, there are your five guys, they kind of, come up every now and then. But I found it to be hilarious.
This is like West Coast versus East Coast rap.
Yeah.
Five guys in Virginia.
There you go.
Well, as a Texan, you have to bring up Whataburger, obviously.
Oh, yes, you're right. And Sonic.
Yeah.
Did you know that Sonic is actually from Oklahoma?
Sonic.
They're from Oklahoma, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a Whataburger on every corner around here.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, each region has to have its own thing, So
I have defected to Shake Shack.
Oh, I love Shake Shack.
Oh,
I love
Shake Shack is good, but it's expensive comparatively speaking to In-N-Out Burger.
I'm going to meet Darren for lunch as fast as I can at Shake Shack.
Right.
My God. I didn't think about that. Wow. So to give you guys some backstory, Darren and I are actual just boring caveman developer programmer guys who are just mechanics. And so when we launched the world's first cloud-based mobile device management platform, NetPerceptor, back in 2003,
wow,
it wasn't because we saw BlackBerry Enterprise Server doing stuff and the very tiny beginnings of, like, you know, when you ultimately see AirWatch and Mobile Iron. We were just trying to solve a problem. We were building solutions for companies on mobile devices, you know, the rugged barcode scanner things. Remember, they used to run Pocket Piece, like Intermec and Zebra and all those guys, Motorola. But there was a problem to solve. How do we deploy the apps to those devices remotely? Because if anyone has a memory back then, you had these active sync cradles that you would put the device into, and it was connected to your PC, and that's how you would synchronize and move data to it and move apps onto it, and then you're good to go. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of stuff happened long before the iPhone came out. And so Darren and I were just trying to solve a problem. It was a real practical thing. We need to push software and data and apps out to the devices to the workers who are working in warehouses and stuff like that, just to get their job done. And we just happen to become multi-billionaires because we created that thing. So, you know.
Yes, whatever. I think that might be thousandaires, but yes. Oh, maybe hundredaires even.
You guys are funny.
But yeah, we hacked the registry is what we did. We would make a change and then figure out what changed.
Yeah.
So we can manage it.
Those Pocket PCs had a registry just like Windows 95. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
But yeah, real practical stuff, but it solved the problem. Our earlier conversation. What was the problem to solve? What's the work to be done? What are the jobs to be done to accomplish the mission of this company or this aspect of this division? Let's figure out how people are doing it today. Is there a better way to do it? When we talk about digital transformation, it starts on what are we doing today with humans? Then step 2 might be what we call digitization, where you don't change anything except you digitize that process. You didn't improve it, but you made it more digital. Then there's that digitalization that kind of gets caught in your mouth when you say it, where you change the processes and realize, okay, now that we're digital, there's a better way to do this.
Oh my God.
But that's how most people have evolved, and we can't beat up on them. Companies all the way, when they really started in the 90s, when things started really, you know, we got the internet, and we got lots of great programming languages, and we got Windows 95. You know, people just did digitize. Let's build the exact digital version of this human process.
Yeah.
But then as Bill always talks about in digital, there's so many steps to go beyond that. Now let's change the process. Now let's change all these other things to make it better.
Yeah.
Blah,
that's
blah,
awesome.
blah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Lo-fi, hi-fi, and ultra HD. That's what we're trying to do, right?
Yes. We're betting on HD DVD.
Yeah.
Over Blu-ray.
That's great. So who wants to take us out? Darren, by the way, thanks for joining us. It was really cool to have you. I mean,
thanks for letting me join.
A friend here who has so much experience and is a thousandaire.
Thousandaire,
right?
Thousandaire.
Yeah.
It's a good life.
Pretty impressive. Yeah. Especially, you know.
Yeah,
you guys are builders.
We both have these really nice tents that we live in at the campground in KOA. Campground America. We're living large.
Awesome. All right. Well, who wants to wrap up, man?
Take us out, Andrea.
Oh no, not me.
All right.
All right. So I'll take us out. So, hey, to our IoT Coffee Talk listeners and viewers, thanks for joining us. So this week it's all about, hey, get better at solutioning, ditch all that BS because it's not healthy for you. Like I always say, Kool-Aid is bad for your health and it's nonsense. Don't invest in it. You spend more time in vetting it and clearing it out so that you can get to true value. And that's what we always talk about here at IoT Coffee Talk. We keep it real. We had Darren joining us. Thank you so much. You helped us keep it real and loved your input and contributions to the conversation. So remember, hit that like button, subscribe, share to everyone in the world, because we barely have 500 subscribers, and that's wrong, because we are such an awesome show that we deserve 1 billion, okay? That's with a B, and help us get there. And we will see you next week on www.iotcoffeetalk.com. Peace. We're out.
Peace out.